now 5 UTC, so the time to start. The next speaker is Carl Pennypacker from USA. The continuous improvement of, and opportunities for global hand-on universe. The time is allocated 30 minutes, so 20 minutes talk and 10 minutes Q&A. Is it okay?
Perfect.
Yes, please.
Okay. I had a talk written before, and let's see, let me go to, I'll go to full screen here just a second. I had a talk written before, and about, a third of the way into the day, I realized this is not an appropriate talk. And it started becoming, just listening to all the good things that people have done and the accomplishments that have been made, I started totally revised it. You'll see probably typographical errors and things, but just here is a picture of this morning's SOC. They are the panelists, many of them have gone to sleep. Those Europeans don't want to stay up till 4 in the morning. I don't understand it. But anyway, just looking at some of the talks, in fact, the most recent talk from Patrick Isaac, it's so phenomenally successful, just in terms of number of people reached, scientific power, and I'm a collaborator with Patrick, but ignore that for a second. Scientific power, and how easy it is to undertake. I was actually helping kids defend the planet from annihilation by asteroids. I mean, it's got so many good things about it, and just I think he has essentially an infinite market of people. I think Global HOU, GTTP, and our other programs also have an infinite market. We haven't been, I don't think we haven't quite got the marketing ideas that Patrick's gotten. So anyway, I'm just going to review some of the things that emerged from today's meeting. We have these amazing, amazing resources that, 5 years ago even, well, certainly 10 years ago, did not exist. 5 years ago, we're starting to open up a little bit more on most of these. The Las Cumbres has become much more accessible. SKA will be coming on in a few years, et cetera. Vera Rubin in a few years. Falk's already working with us, national schools. So, the data pipelines are really working, and they're going to get even a lot better within another year or two. So that to me, that means really have to tune up our act, copy what Isaac has done, and learn from their success. Again, I think at the bottom here, we have to make the program as scientifically exciting as possible, extremely easy to learn, and also support teachers with humans. Isaac always has a human on call if there's a problem. So I think they're, again, learning from each other is what GHOU is really about. And, again, we have the data pipelines are working. Also, it's become clear listening to the fine talks by Marcus and by Lena. We'll have one from Kevin tomorrow. The IAU coordinating offices of various, the Office of Astronomy Education, the Outreach Office, Astronomy for Development. These are all wonderful systems who we can start to work with to spread our wings more. And really, I'd like GHOU and GTTP to become even more the go-to resource for training teachers. We have this great partnership with American Modeling Teachers Association, which Colleen just talked about. Again, she didn't emphasize that much. I think I have a slide later, but kids who use modeling instruction come out smarter than kids who don't. So we can go to a school board member, well, astronomy, that's just a gee whiz topic. When in fact, the kids actually, their brains get better. So we haven't used that, I think, much to our advantage. Again, more marketing. And also we're starting to uncover or to discover new colleagues. I'm working now with, this is a little personal, but Orange County amateur astronomers who are just fabulous and are developing their own portal, which will link to a lot of the resources we have here. So that's been amazing. So again, just kind of summarizing where I think we're at, we're doing the right thing. We're uncorking, whoop, there's a typo, more and more great data resources, sort of said that already. You'll be hearing about the EV scope and Unistellar soon, which I think is going to totally uncork Messier objects and exoplanet discoveries. But I don't want to steal any of Frank's thunder here. And to my mind, the question is, how can we be more effective? How can we grow? How can we reach more teachers, et cetera? Because I think we've got our stuff, we have our act together on software, on telescopes, on activities. Still, we still need more training materials, more YouTubes, more demos. But I think, the bulk of the work has been done. There's been millions of dollars invested in US systems. There's, probably some millions in Japan, millions in Europe through European Union grants and grants in the United Kingdom. So I think the materials are there now. Now, to my mind, it's a marketing question, and I don't think scientists or educators are particularly good marketeers, and I'd like us to try to figure out how to solve that. Just a little bit, how one thing I'm personally involved with, just we didn't mention it before. We've reached about 100 teachers so far in Chile, and we're trying to bring modeling astronomy to Chile and hopefully to France with Emmanuel, with Roberto Araya in Chile. And we've already reached 100 teachers there. And Bonnie, and actually talking about synergy, Bonnie Thurber won a grant for GHOU to train teachers in Uganda. And that'll be many hours of training, I think, not just a half day, but many hours of training. And that looks like it's going to go ahead pretty soon. Uganda has a much lower pandemic fraction than the United States, but we'll still try to make it as safe for the teachers as possible. In fact, we'll work on that carefully so we don't put teachers in harm's way. One nice thing, I have a talk coming up with a colleague from Antofagasta, University of Antofagasta, Professor Villanueva, on a project which I think is good marketing for us. It's about it's called La Danza del Universo, which is we try to bring themes of science fused with dance and beautiful imagery and background. But I'll talk about that later. And I think that begins to crack open some of the marketing things that I think I noticed that many talks, including Bernard's earlier and other groups have done. I think all of us should try to move in that direction. I mentioned the coordination between the various activities looks like it's getting bigger and better and better. The new OA Center in Heidelberg with Marcus and Emmanuel, I think, will be either a node or a center. He'll be responsible for promoting GHOU-like teacher trainings and research in Francophone nations. And I want us to help lead coordination and curating of our activities. That's not an official part of GHOU policy yet, but I think it's clearly we're going to be doing this. One that we've done. I think we have to evaluate too if we're going to sell our stuff to people. I think Isaac is kind of self-evaluating when they're finding asteroids. Kids get changed. I think we have to keep doing this on a more formal basis for GHOU. We were lucky to be well funded enough by the NSF, where we showed that as measured by students' understanding of astronomy and grasping skills, we could train teachers of those students as effectively in online workshops as we could in face-to-face teachers, which I think is, that this might be a pilot work. It has to be extended, but that is, if we train teachers in an online workshop and train other teachers in a face-to-face workshop, these are actually randomly selected. This is not a bad paper, randomly selected teachers. The teachers turned out knowing about the same astronomy. So I think, again, the pandemic, even though it's a tragedy, may work in our favor is to start to build up our distance remote training capabilities. So again, I mentioned, if we can move forward, aggressively with, for now, asynchronous and synchronous online workshops, face-to-face when that becomes more possible, uh, and have many entry points into the system, from simply getting an image on the LCO kiosk. Patrick is talking about that on the 100 for 100. That is so easy. Actually, I think middle schoolers could do that. I've had an 8-year-old do that, to get images from LCO kiosk. And so, and then certainly high school kids, particularly working with the EV scope, I believe will be able to search for exoplanets with that data. And again, I mentioned we have to measure what the kids are learning. Doug Millar from Orange County is talking about, what is our question? What do we want the kids to learn? Do we want them to be better in IT, pre-algebra? Certainly, they're going to get better in pre-algebra. You can't do pixels or CCD images without getting better in pre-algebra. But again, I mentioned this, the modeling instruction really does improve. This is this one test Colleen mentioned, where there are pre-test and post-test improvements. Basically, the post-test for expert modelers, the kids learned a lot more. This is on a forced concept inventory, pretty good common physics source. But the traditional teachers, the left-hand column, I mean, there is improvement. Teaching does work, but they went from 26 to 42. The modelers went from 29 to 69. So that's not a bad gap there. So just to summarize, I think I'm almost done. We really got to get that last mile. I mean, the internet is the last mile for connectivity. We really have to get the last mile to reach teachers and convince them that it's good for them. It's easy for them to be learned. The kids will learn more, and it's fun, and they get supported. So all that I think we have to do. That's part of what I call a marketing campaign. I think we need some U.S. teachers to run remote, U.S. and European and Japanese teachers to run remote workshops around the world. So getting a little bit of money, I hope through a GoFundMe program I want to run will help that. Again, I mentioned the coordination with the blanket organizations. I want the modeling astronomy to keep expanding in the U.S. and other nations. I mentioned Chile and Uganda. Again, if we can just get as many GTTP, GHOU workshops going and learn from them, I think that's going to help us. So next year, if we can come back with a much larger number of teachers and the resources to go further. And we won't be able to do a whole bunch, but at least if we could I want to start a GoFundMe campaign to help finance future online workshops. But again, I think we've never been in better shape in terms of having software, data chains, inspired people. This group in this conference is arguably some of the best astronomy educators in the world. And I think just getting our message together and with a little bit of help, we can reach a lot more people a lot more effectively. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Carl. There is one question from Doe. Good marketing involves targeting. In my mind, what question do potential participants have that we can answer?
Wait, say it one more time, Hitoshi.
Yeah. Good marketing involves targeting. Okay. What questions do potential participants have that we can answer?
We were driven by our governments, at least in the United States. Do you want your kids to be better in STEM, in STEM skills? Do you want them to consider careers in IT? Do you want them to be effective for the world, effective scientifically literate people? So I think that's a good question. That's a good marketing strategy that many people will have. Do we want our kids to get better grades? Do we want them to, be part of a global collaboration? I think uh, I think those are just some maybe self-serving ones we've addressed for years, but there may be more questions that we could pull out of our audience more effectively. Again, I'm not a business person. I really don't know what a market study is, so I'm probably way off the deep end. But I think there are hints there that want to push in this direction.
Thank you. And any other question?
I have a question.
So,
Allow me?
Okay.
go ahead.
Yes. So, yes, you have done a great work by using astronomy to foster all this team aspect. So, how can we expand it to other fields of space science and planetary science?
I think that's a natural extension for us in terms of building in more, you know, the things you mentioned earlier about more hands-on, more STEAM. You know, we've one of our team, Patrick Miller, was a member of the leader of the American Rocket Society or something, for example. But I would, you know, the moon and Mars is so important, both in space science and I would like to think about, I don't want to come up with too glib or too, I think that's a very important question. And I'd like to think more about it, and would appreciate your ideas more. Do you have some more thoughts on this, or?
Okay, one I think that there are a lot of very good exercises for students in astronomy. And so could we develop some more exercises for planetary science, for instance? Yeah, making use of space data, for instance. And so we have a beautiful now database of images from the moon, Mars, planet.
Yeah, actually, gee, that's, whoa, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And for instance, there are techniques that we are using for Earth observations that we could teach the student to apply to planets, and that's also good for their career prospect. Like for Earth remote sensing, we will be boosting in the future also application and career prospect for students.
Yeah, and that's a lovely idea, Bernard. I apologize for not realizing that.
No, but okay, yes.
No.
Yeah,
no,
thank you. Let's start some projects, pilot project on that.
I know there are these great moon crater databases, you know, that getting, you know, like you showed, and yeah, we that in our measurement tools are so many of our measurement tools are so appropriate for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, count us in.
No, okay, excellent. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you. And Doug informed that he mean, can we tap into people's natural question? How about Carl? How about Carl?
Oh, yeah. Oh, gee, is Doug online?
Yes.
How? That's, I think, you know, if like it's been said several times, people do wonder about, you know, will the universe end? I think that's you know, how did it begin? Will we fall into a black hole? I think there are a lot of natural questions that people have, and you know, I think we should do more of that. That again, that's both makes sense. You know, I think the ISAC, the asteroid search, is so successful because you know, these things are very easy to see. They're, you know, they're important for life on Earth. I mean, you know, the dinosaurs died because of the asteroid. We're here because of asteroids, for example. So that might be a little bit removed question, but it is, I think, particularly at middle school age, children do start to wonder philosophically. Their cognitive development is such that they can start to ask questions about, make a conceptual model of the universe. So I think we do tap into their natural curiosity beginning in middle school. And I think often society pounds out that curiosity. Maybe we can play a little bit of a role to bring back those kind of questions. I don't have an instant great answer for that, but I think we need to think about that.
Thank you. And
Can I make a question or comment?
Yeah, actually, yeah,
Okay.
Toshihiro, I hope you could please talk more. I needed your help in this anyway.
So about the gain evaluation. So the educational gain evaluation is very, very important, I think. I agree that. But say, in my understanding, many Japanese love to make scoring with least cost. I think that is a problem. So the many Japanese educational evaluator love to make say some change before and after, just only depending on the knowledge, how much or how many the student knows. So through the HOU activity, I understand the amount of knowledge itself is not so important. The connection of each other. I forgot the name, but someone talk in this session, in this meeting. So the individual knowledge is not so important. Of course, it is not important. I do not want to say it is not important, but beyond the amount of knowledge, we should say understanding and to get the concept. That is more important. That is the point of the HOU activities, I think. So in that case, but in many Japanese teachers, not only high school teachers, but also the university teachers, want to make least cost to evaluate that. So therefore, they ask the questions based only on the knowledge. So do you know this? Do you know this? Do you know this? And the scoring. So in that case, the students prefer to make memorize individual knowledge. So I don't know. I'm not educators. So the Carl, do you have any good way to measure the understanding, not the amount of the knowledge?
Colleen, are you still there? Yeah, I think yeah, we can learn from the modelers in as much as I think there are test items that try to measure conceptual understanding, which is not these are worked out over years, very careful things that measure really important things, not small details. So I think there is a way to measure that, and which is not just memorizing facts. So and again, I hope that's what we'll be seeing in modeling astronomy and more of HOU.
So at least in Japan, we should introduce such kind of the modeling based evaluation, and that is much better than the memory based evaluation.
Yeah, and even like when I was talking about some gains for the kids in pre-algebra, these are middle school kids, and actually they were not wealthy kids, and but we taught them to work with pixels, and then the test items were not on sort of I think carefully thought out items using proportional reasoning and pre-algebra and stuff. And so totally unrelated to any factual knowledge of astronomy. It was just the concepts of how things relate to each other. So I think that you know, that we are lucky there. You know, we don't necessarily have to go all the way to the modeling instruction items, but I think the items should be much more conceptual based as compared to you know, the factual based, memorization based items.
Yeah, actually, in my university, I have a lecture for the all student in all subjects. So through the return report of them, actually that is physics in transportation system, railway, plane, rocket, and ship. So the return report from the student, oh, I know the law of this phenomena, but I only memorized the formula, and just only put in the value and calculate. But that is all.
Ouch.
What is the meaning of this physics, and what the meaning of this law? Say I only explain, say the rotating period around the Earth. So of course you know that is depending on the orbital radius, symmetry axis. So that is a Keplerian law. So
Right.
so just only that the higher satellite takes much longer time to go around the Earth. So I only say that the students surprise. Oh, that is the usage of the formula. So that is a most severe problem, I think, in Japanese science education.
Yep. Yeah.
Not only here.
Kids, I think you know, if kids go through our stuff and do really well at it, they might do worse in the those kind of tests. So we have to be careful.
Yeah.
Yes. Bonnie, what you want to say?
Hello.
Please.
Let's see. So actually, I have a Moodle. It's it has a bunch of courses about astronomy also, but the National Space Society in the US has a lot of programs for students, and we have this year, of course, it was canceled because of the pandemic, but usually we have about 400 students from around the globe that participate in a contest where they all design space habitats. And they make big posters of space habitats. They make movies about these posters. They present the posters and the movies, and then they are awarded prizes for the best poster on down and the best movie on down. But they're learning a lot of things about living in space. This year, we also had a contest about diet in space. And we had a number of high school students actually writing topics about what you should eat in space and what is healthy, and a ketogenic diet was one of the things that was brought up. But it was very interesting. So the two students that won the prize was actually a trip in a we have a person in the US who has Mars analog missions, and so they are participating in one of these Mars analog missions. And this is very interesting to hear everything that's I've been hearing here, especially from Bernard, about analog missions, because the woman here, Carl has met her also. Her name is Susan IP Jewell. She has a series of 3 tents put together, and they have spacesuits. They've been doing these missions they did 2 in Nepal, actually. mostly in Death Valley, I think, and anyway, various other places. But it's very exciting for the students to learn about these things and also to be design things to try out in a mission. If I were on a spaceship for as many months as it took to get to Mars, what would I eat? Or what would life be like? And actually illustrating using their artworks and also their science knowledge to put these things together. Anyway, they're very exciting. We also had this year in the spring, we've been having debates at the NSS, National Space Science.
Thank you, Bonnie. But the time is now up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Yeah,
Carl.
very interesting.
Yeah. Okay.